Went to the flea market today. In California, we call them swap meets. And I got some pretty amazing stuff for probably Whatnot primarily. And I was focused on vintage, which is not my strong suit, not something that I focused in on all that much. But I'll talk about why I'm doing it. The first stop was a big pile of clothing on the ground. I've said in previous videos that that's a lot of the time where I've had the best luck finding cheap stuff to flip. This is not vintage. This is a pair of women's diesel jeans, the Tomer model, which I've never found before. I don't remember the exact prices that were quoted. I was hoping for $1 or $2. I think I got a couple pieces for that, but a lot of them were $3, $4, $5. Still a pretty good deal. Cheaper than Goodwill, certainly. It's another piece from the same person. I think I got 6 or 7 pieces from her. It's a weird one. It's got a little carrying bag, matching pattern here, and it's Polo Ralph Lauren, size 40. Swim shorts, packable swim shorts in the crazy pattern. I typically avoid Ralph Lauren, Polo Ralph Lauren, unless it's vintage, unless it's something real crazy, which this is. And some of this stuff will probably end up on eBay. Some of it will end up probably on like a pop-up, whatnot, sometime during the week. This is a great Bolo brand, and the vintage stuff is coming. This is Chubbies. Usually you just find shorts, that's what they're famous for. This is a shirt with not hummingbirds, those are kingfishers on it. It is a men's size large, which is good. And that's gonna flip probably within a week. That one is going on eBay. Another pair of diesel jeans, the Buster model. These are faked, you know, all clothing can be faked. I know diesels are faked a little more often than not, so I'll have to do some double checking. But a nice pair of women's jeans there. A heavier duty plaid flannel with some pilling on it. It is a pearl snap, and it's Salt Valley. Excuse me. Salt Valley is a really strong brand. One of my favorites, all-time favorites for eBay. It typically doesn't flip for really impressive money, but it's always just flipped very reliably for me. Another Polo Ralph Lauren piece from the same pile, and it is contemporary, size large, men's large. I got it because it's this 2-ply, almost like a blanket flannel. And that's really not common, and just a nice shirt. This is out of season, and I am not afraid to buy stuff out of season. I'll shoot a video about it eventually. It's kind of hard to sum up in a nutshell. Well, probably not. The nutshell is there's a lot less demand for out of season clothing when you're not in the proper season, so you can kind of offset the occupational hazards of being alive and a reseller during the summer if you source swim trunks during the winter and vice versa. So it's a good time to find stuff like this that's going to be in more demand when the weather cools. And it does still all sell out of season, not as much or as often, but it does still sell. A pair of Nike sweats. These are probably going to go to Whatnot. I am honing in a little bit on what is actually in demand, what people really want. And it's kind of nicer stuff. Well, it's obviously the really nice, desirable stuff, and it's also just kind of nicer, little higher end, mid-range brands that people know are quality or associate with quality, stuff that they would shop for themselves. What a surprise. Nice pair of Adidas active leggings, women's small. I think those might be yoga pants. This is not a very good brand. It's Universal Thread, which is definitely in the ass category. But they are tie-dye. You can see it's very pale pastel tie-dye on the jeans and in pretty good shape. And they're kind of a baggy cut too. So I figure those are worth probably around 20, 25 bucks. Mtv Shirt. The total that I spent with this person was around 50 bucks for all of this, which is a little more than I would have wanted to pay at the swap meet, but still a pretty good deal. MTV shirts like this always sell for me. This one has condition issues, however. Playboy with Misguided. I don't think this is that great of a brand, but it's another tie-dye piece, and it's got the Playboy bunny there. It has some stains on it. Another stain little goober guy there. Oh, that just popped off. So I have a new stain method or strategy, hopefully. I'll just show it to you right now. I got this for 20 bucks at the flea market. That is a sink unit washer and dryer combo. Clearly a little older. And I don't know how compatible this is going to be with my sink, but it's just this plastic unit. You plug it into your faucet and plug it into the wall, and it can handle small loads of laundry. Mick, the guy that I was thrifting with, says that these have really great resale value because there's a lot of van life people that value those really highly and they're quite rare. And it was just a really nice person, not this same person that I bought the clothing from, although she was also very nice, who just gave me a good deal on it, 20 bucks, didn't even have to haggle. So instead of paying for the coin washer and dryer in my apartment complex, which kind of turns my stomach to do, 20 bucks for hopefully just unlimited small loads of laundry when I need to do some spot cleaning on some nicer stuff. This is a vintage knit top, and there are vintage t-shirts coming up, a whole lot of them. Not familiar with the tag, but definitely a pretty crazy piece. Women's top. Pair of jeans that are Shein. So definitely not a good brand, but I have the flame cuffs, screen printed flames. I don't think those are a DIY thing. I think that's how they came. So that's going to Whatnot. Another pair of active leggings from Reebok. Just a nice pair, kind of mid-weight. And a brand of pants that I love finding these days. Anchor Blue. Anchor Blue used to be ass, and now, because of style trends and all of that, it is one of my favorite jeans and pants brands to find. It's got the houndstooth pattern on it, and it's got a weird tag. So that's gonna go to Whatnot as well, probably. So all that for about 50 bucks. Picked this up from a vendor for a total of 5. It was 5 bucks for 2 pieces. It's a Kool-Aid tie-dye, I think official branded. Yeah, official branded from Mad Engine sweatsuit. And there's the pants. The pants are Kool-Aid, new with tags, going to Whatnot. A Slayer t-shirt. It's not vintage. It's from 2019, but I got it for 5 bucks. The condition's pretty good. This is one of the only pieces I will pick up from Nautica. These vintage shirts that are conspicuously vintage and color blocked like this. And this has an embroidered sleeve. And I don't remember how much exactly I paid for this. It was a total of, I think, 48 bucks for what I picked up from this person. And, or 40, it was like 46 or something. She had really, really good stuff. Really nice person again. This is a vintage Rough Rider tag, I think made in USA women's shirt. This is Southwestern / Aztec geometric prints. This stuff is still popular. It's been popular for the entirety of my time on this planet that I've spent reselling. A Champion reverse weave hoodie in a small size. I think it's a women's small. And I know it's reverse weave because it says reverse weave on it, and reverse weave tends to be pretty valuable. I don't know what reverse weave means other than people want it. Really pretty cool sweater with the butterfly print on the front and the back. I didn't find any flaws on this one. There may be some lurking about on a Hanes heavyweight. Size women's extra large, made in USA. Here's another pair of Champion reverse weavers. It says Champion products reverse weave warm up, size medium. Hopefully you can see it. Vintage Champion sells quite well. I don't think this is vintage, but it is definitely weird. It's a bleach dyed, destroyed Tupac lace up front women's shirt, official Tupac. Branded, it's got a bunch of holes all over. I have never, ever, ever seen one of these shirts. I have been told that people really love the all over print vintage shirts like this. Size medium. And on the back, and I think it's probably single stitch. Yeah, looks single stitch to me. A Dangerous Woman. I think this was a movie. It's like a sleeve shirt. It's really oversized. On an anvil, red bar tag. One size fits all, made in USA. Pretty good shape. It's got a date on it too. 1993, and it's got the MCA Universal logo here. Ingram Entertainment. And I'm usually pretty circumspect about buying white anything, especially t-shirts, but I couldn't find any flaws on that. A couple one-offs here that I got. This is not vintage, but it's a, I think, 2XL official Wu-Tang t-shirt that's new with tags from Spencer's, and I got it for $5. Yeah, 2XL official Wu-Tang. I haven't looked it up, but I assume that this is worth something. This is Shaggy 2 Dope of Insane Clown Posse. And I got it for $10, and this caught my eye because he has Dark Lotus on the backs of his hands. This is the very extremely defunct supergroup that ICP formed with Twisted and Blaze Ya Dead Homie. The whole pantheon of Juggalo greats, and he has the amazing Juckle Brothers shirt on. And it's vintage. SOTA 2003. I'm guessing this is worth some good money. I'm guessing this is pretty collectible. Another one-off. Got this for $1. It's Billie Eilish official women's shirt. Found this in a bin. Another one-off. This is not vintage, but it's a long sleeve Uzumaki shirt. This is a very, very famous manga by, what's his name? I used to know the name. Oh god, what's his name? Oh, Junji Ito. Junji Ito, who is a famous horror manga writer and artist. And I've read a couple of them, but not this one. This is like the big one. And I got it for $10 because I know I'll probably at least make my money back on Whatnot with this, and there's an outside chance that that's really valuable. I have to look it up. I'm not sure, just thought on instinct. And then I have a whole big bunch of vintage t-shirts that I got. Again, all from one guy who was pretty generous with his pricing. I just set a bunch of stuff aside, and he, without any solicitation, said that he was going to give me a deal because I was buying so much stuff. He ended up giving this stuff to me for $65, which when you see what it is pretty great, I think, as kind of a neophyte vintage sorcerer. How's the hair? All right, here's a Harley Davidson shirt that's, I think, pretty rare. That kind of a design. It's got the motocross guy on it, on the front. Never seen this one. Corona, California. And it is size 2XL. Harley Davidson t-shirts, these kind of big graphic t-shirts, are, as far as I can tell, like the top selling category of clothing on Whatnot. Here's what, again, my unhoned instincts tell me is a nature tee. So nature scenes, really big on Whatnot, really big with vintage people. It's on a Viva La Wombat tag. No idea if that means anything. Condition is not perfect, but now I have a bizarro little washing machine that I can hopefully work some magic with. This is crazy. This is a Mickey Mouse t-shirt, not t-shirt, sweater. Official Disney branded. Disney stuff also sells just crazily well on Whatnot for pretty good money. This one's not vintage, I don't think. No, this is from 2015. But band t-shirts, especially big sizes, also do quite well. When you spend some time on Whatnot, you will notice people in chats requesting the same like 5 to 8 things. People like wrestling t-shirts, band t-shirts, nature t-shirts, Harley, NASCAR, and religious t-shirts now are cool, I guess. Jesus tees. You just see these same things cycle over and over again, so it's not that hard, I'm hoping, to pick up on what people are really looking for. Another horror tee, or I guess a horror tee. Halloween. Another not vintage one. Halloween Horror Nights. I'm probably going to throw these in with the vintage stuff or the vintage auction just because I know that the clientele for this stuff is going to be there too. Here's a good example of a nature tee. It's a tie-dye t-shirt from the Mountain. These, what I previously considered cheap, tacky t-shirts that you find at, or used to find at like gas stations and rest stops. They always come in cardboard boxes. The Mountain. These sell for amazing money on Whatnot. Creed. It's going up on the Whatnot. Weathered 2002, so Y2K, and it's on a Fruit of the Loom tag. This might actually go on eBay instead of Whatnot. Disneyland. It's got the, I guess that's technically all over print. Not clear on the proper usage of that exactly. It's a Disney Spirit jersey. And what I presume is a Youth XL. It says Spirit jersey here. If you ever find this when you're sourcing, just get it. I found a couple in the bigger sizes. Both of them sold for over $50 within a couple days of listing them. Another Harley shirt. This is a tank top, obviously. I think it says Harley Davidson on the front there. It's got the big graphic on the back. Size XL, and this does look vintage to me. This is pretty much the other roughly half of Dark Lotus, along with Insane Clown Posse. This is definitely vintage and pretty rare, and probably pretty valuable. This Juggalo stuff, the vintage Juggalo stuff, every time I look it up, I'm really impressed by the prices. Another nature tee. This is a long sleeve dolphin shirt on an Anvil red bar tag. Size medium. Blank back. Another nature tee, the birds. I've sold a couple shirts like the nature tee shirts, and they both have sold for really great money. This is dated 1998 Common Threads on a Delta tag. It is a vintage Zebco bass fishing jacket. These used to be worn by tournament anglers, and then bass fishermen decided that they all needed to look cool instead of like bass fishermen. So this kind of fishing clothing has been inherited by people in their 20s carrying the torch. I kind of love that. I might keep that. Okay, so those are the vintage items. I have one little bag from a thrift shop that we stopped at on the way back, and then I'll talk about why I'm focusing on vintage. Most of this is probably going to go up on a pop-up for Whatnot. I just have a mix of like a bunch of contemporary clothing that's sitting around that I'll probably just do a little pop-up on it. Flip, so keep your eyes peeled. Vince corduroy jeans for women. Decent brand, higher end, mid-range brand. This is a J. Crew 100% linen top. Feels really nice. J. Crew is kind of hit or miss, but this is a nicer piece. And 100% linen, very seasonal. Going to Whatnot. Big Misfits shirt for women. It's got this tied neck there. I think it's official branded, and it's not vintage, but someone will definitely want that. Got these for $1 each. And this one I may keep for myself. I have to try it on to see if it fits. But I couldn't believe that I found it. I've only found this a couple times. It's Free Fly. I talked about this in my fishing brand tier list video, and this was S tier. I think it was either A or S, meaning the best of the best. They make fly fishing, specifically fly fishing clothing. A lot of it is made out of bamboo. I assume that's what this is made out of, bamboo fiber. And crazy expensive, crazy high sell-through. Performance bamboo. Every time I've listed it, it's been gone within a week. This, if I were to list it, I would hazard a guess is worth more than $50. Pair of women's rag and bone jeans. Rag and bone. I think they're women's. Oh, 32, maybe they're men's. No, I think those are men's, actually. Burgundy jeans. So, why vintage? I've noticed over the course of running these Whatnot auctions, I think I've done 4 of them at this point, that it does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of work if you do the listings what seems to me to be the proper way, which is to screen for flaws, put in measurements where they're necessary, and weigh the item before you put it up. There are people that just do item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see how that's possible to do without getting the shipping wrong in either direction, potentially overcharging your buyers for shipping or undercharging and then having to pay up later. Maybe, I don't know. I'm new to the app, so maybe I'm missing something, but I put in each item with a basic title and with measurements and measurements where they make sense, and I weigh it. That takes a lot of time, and then running the auction itself is fun, and I'm pretty quick with it, pretty nice with it, but it does take a couple hours, and then the shipping is a beast. The shipping takes a ton of time. When you flip a lot of volume, like a low ASP, big volume type of whatnot auction, like the last one that I did, which was graphic t-shirts, contemporary graphic t-shirts, a lot of them ended up having flaws. A lot of them ended up flipping for between $1 and $5, which is kind of a hazard when you start everything at $1. There are people that don't do that. I do it because I have a relatively big following. I have the lowest that my attendance has dipped is around 100, like 110, 115 people, and I don't say that to brag, just to give context for my strategy and thinking about it. But even with that kind of a viewership, if you start stuff at $1, sometimes it sells for $1 or $2 or $3. So the total I grossed for that whole auction that I think was like 120 items was around $700. My cost of goods was ground level, like rock bottom. So it was good money, and I think it's still worth the effort. But I'm playing around with sourcing a little bit more desirable stuff, paying up, sourcing a bit more like I source for eBay, in the hopes of being able to turn, again, a quick profit that's a little bit bigger. And the vintage stuff seems to carry a lot of the weight in terms of profit margins on that app, like I said. I see vintage t-shirts sell for upwards of $50 all the time. And there are people that specialize in it, and as I've said before a couple times, I'm getting my feet wet with vintage. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but I have a pretty good idea, I think. So you also see it in the way that I'm sourcing this contemporary stuff too, something like the Rag & Bone or the Linen J. Crew or these Vinces. This is stuff that I anticipate going for more than $10 on Whatnot, even with a $1 start. And I could be proven wrong on that, but I think it makes sense to me now to focus on quantity a little bit more, or sorry, quality a little bit more than quantity. On some level, it's all just a free-for-all. On some level, there's no way to predict exactly what you're going to get for what, and it is still worth it. Even the $700 gross auction, even if it's like a couple days worth of work, that's still not that bad, and I'm happy to do that. But, you know, I'm just playing around with it. I have other ideas for stuff to do with the app too. I think I've mentioned before potentially selling lures and flies that I make on there. I think nobody has done that. People might be interested in that. I'm interested in getting into jewelry selling, because taking photos of jewelry is a pain to me, but being able to like just show it would make sense, and I think a lot of you would be interested in buying jewelry. The longest shot is also the one that seems goofiest and most fun to me, and I'll show you that. Yesterday I went up to a Tourmaline mine out in the hills here in San Diego, where you can pay $75 to sift through what's called the tailings of the mine, and it's an active gemstone mine. So they explode their way into the mountain, and then they collect the debris, they put it in a big pile, and you pay $75 to spend the day sifting through it and washing it off and looking and hunting and pecking for gemstones. And I completely was intoxicated by it. I got a little carried away. People were taking breaks for lunch. I just slammed a sandwich down my throat and went back to sifting and sorting. I loved it. And I was talking to one of the guys that works there, and he says that people make some decent money going there just to find stuff to either make into jewelry or flip as is online. And I'm really curious if there are enough people on Whatnot who would be interested in buying this stuff for me, so I can have a little busman's holiday every once in a while and go rummage around in the dirt. if I can even break even doing that, I think it would just be a great little hobby to pick up. It suits me quite well, I think. Found all kinds of tourmaline. This is black tourmaline. This is called pegmatite. It's like, it looks a little bit like amethyst. It's a purple mica rock. Really beautiful in person. I don't know if it's coming through. It's a bigger specimen. You can kind of see the purple. I mean, just really beautiful. Here's a hunk of quartz with some kind of grayish, greenish tourmaline spears growing into it. It's super cool looking. And I would collect these, and probably will, but I don't need another collection. I have a couple of those. It's a purple tourmaline. Some exciting stuff up there. I saw someone pull out a chunk of aquamarine that was like that big. So I don't know, could be a waste of time. But, you know, who knows? Seems like there is a market for this kind of thing on Whatnot. So if you can join me on Friday, please do. Otherwise, I'll keep you updated on my do's and don'ts for Whatnot. I'm learning as I go. Everybody is. Still a new platform. And I'll keep showing you what sells on eBay too. All right, whoop whoop.